All right, we are back at our new test flight facility. We have a Developer Mini in front of us, even though you can't see it. This is ready to go out the door, or should be ready to go out the door as soon as we finish up this test flight. The configuration was just finished up in the office, and we added a 2-port side plate, so the next time you'll be seeing this Developer Mini, it'll be flying with a Spotlight mod kit. So we have shown off one of those before. We're going back to actually a more basic version that only tilts up and down, as well as turns on and off, as we're working out some of the bugs with what we're calling the Advanced Spotlight mod kit. Beyond the Developer Mini, as you saw, I took the antenna out of the case. Technically speaking, it can close, but you can go either a little bit deeper in this case, or the antenna will just push up a little bit up against this foam. It won't necessarily harm it, but if it's rattling around a lot, it could theoretically cause harm to it. So we just take off the antenna and reattach it every time we're taking Developer Mini in and out of this case. The propellers I'm leaving new in the packaging. We're just going to be using some of the propellers that we've already used from our workshop, and then the XT30 smart battery charger. This is about as easy as it gets. Just one connection for the battery, the actual power, and then the other connection for the balance connector. So that's what you get with the Developer Mini, other than the controller, which looks like I'm so well prepared, I don't even have the controller that it comes with. So you may follow along with me to grab the controller. If not, I'll be right back in a moment. We have the Developer Mini controller, or it's really a RadioMaster Boxer controller. And it has a mLRRS, or Maytech mLRRS TX module in the back that was just fully configured as well. And now I am left to do the fun part, make sure it all works. So I guess first things first, we'll go ahead and turn on our controller. Just holding down the power button.
Throttle warning. iVue telemetry ready.
All right, we have iVue telemetry ready. And now we're going to set up the Developer Mini roughly on some flat ground. Not exactly a whole lot of flat ground in this park, but we're gonna make do. We just got told we're in altitude hold flight mode, as that's what this number 1 button is set up to. Number 2, we have set up to loiter flight mode. Number 3 is brake flight mode, so that'll do override any command and just make it hover there in place, and you can't override it unless you switch into another flight mode. Guided flight mode to do an automated mission. Return to home as switch number 5, and land as switch number 6. So we'll go back to loiter flight mode, and you can see maybe there's both a green and blue flashing light. Green means you have a connection from this controller to the Developer. Blue means the Bluetooth is on, and so you can connect to a computer, phone, or tablet. So before we use the iVue RC app, we are going to use QGroundControl just to make sure we don't have to do a compass calibration. Having copied the parameters and configuration over from a previous Developer Mini or previous Developer Mini builds, although this has a little bit of differences from those previous models, should have all of the parameters already needed, all the configuration already needed, but let's go ahead and verify now that we're out in the flight field. So I think with the Mac operating system, we're going to need to connect to the mLRRS module first before switching over to QGroundControl, or before connecting to it in QGroundControl. So let's go ahead. I know how to use the Mac operating system. I'm a big brain genius. We'll move this over. Nope. Where did it go? Where did it go? Too many windows. There we go. All right. And then you can see nearby devices. So this will be the same if you're watching at home using a Mac computer. It will show up as 56538BT for this specific module. Will have a different number for your module if you're not using this exact one. The pin code is 1234 by default, and we don't switch it, so that's going to be your pin code. Now you can see we're connected, so in QGroundControl, we should be able to configure a connection here using that same Bluetooth connection. So we'll just call it mLRRS C3. That's kind of a reference to our customer without giving them away. We're selecting this option down here, the TTY Bluetooth option for the, again, 56583. And the baud rate you can keep as 57,600. And if I did it all right, we should get a connection established. And look at that. So now we have a Bluetooth connection established from my controller to our computer here running QGroundControl. We're in loiter flight mode. We currently have no GPS lock, so maybe this GPS is not properly configured. Let's check parameters, serial, super serial, old school South Park reference. Tech one wire. All right. I'm going to need to switch over to Mission Planner for me to be a little bit more familiar with the serial connections. I can pull up documentation too, which I still may need to do in Mission Planner, but check. And so clearly the configuration that we transferred to this developer mini, not the correct configuration. So confusing. We have two mLRRS modules with almost identical numbers. The same numbers, just rearranged. Waiting, maybe I didn't select the right one. Let me see if I can tell. Should be 8.3, 8.3. I think it's because I selected the wrong baud rate, which I thought shouldn't matter, but clearly it might. Maybe not so clearly. Mission Planner is not cooperating. Oh, here we go. Let's try it one more time here. All right, no connection in Mission Planner. No Sherlock. All right. I'm gonna try once more in Mission Planner. And if not, I'm going back to QGroundControl and going to pull up some documentation and out in the field troubleshooting. What more could you want out of a video? Oh man, I should have been more careful with my clicks. I guess there's worse actions you can be less careful about. All right. 8.3. All right. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a success connecting via the Mac version of Mission Planner, but as you can see, we had a connection through QGroundControl. While QGroundControl has a better UI for flight, well, that's my opinion. My opinion is, of course, correct, at least in this case. And as far as the Mission Planner, they just have a UI which supports some configuration in a more intuitive way than what QGroundControl supports. Oh man, I just accidentally stopped screen recording. All right. Screen recording again. Big brain move. All right, we're connected, but we're not getting the telemetry information now. So it looks like Mac, and this is something documented online, that Mac does not necessarily work well with these modules, but as you can see, they do. Let's see if we reconnect here, if QGroundControl will pick it up. Oh. So let's see if now that we're connected here, if we reopen QGroundControl, maybe just an order of operations issue, and if not, we're going to have to repair it to the computer. Get my frog position. Speaking of frog, do you think that toad is still there? Or you think it's going to be there? Probably not. All right. Da, 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 da. Nope. All right. Closing out QGroundControl, disconnecting from the module. We're going to disconnect, and not only are we going to disconnect from it, we're going to forget it. Forget about it! That was a worse impression. 1, 2, 3, 4. Super secure, hacker elite, proof. And out of curiosity, let's see if Mission Planner works now. Shall we? I think we shall. Eight 3, 57.6. Connect. You won't do it? Look at that, it's connecting. Look at that, Mission Planner on Mac is working. You just have to repair the module, which is totally exactly what you and everyone else wants. We're working on it, people. Patience! Patience! So we're going to set up mandatory hardware, serial ports, and we're making sure that the GPS is configured properly. So I don't think, all right, you might need to do another roll on it. So now we're going over to Pixhawk, 6C ports. Oh my gosh, it's like this is documentation we have to reference somewhat frequently. And I am a dummy. It's not ports. It's here we go. So serial 4 is GPS 2. Okay. So it looks like it should be set up correctly. Serial 4, serial 3, set to none. All right. Then why are we not getting a GPS fix? All right, we have geofence on. Oops, set up. Plan. I'm not really familiar with setting up geofences in Mission Planner, Mission Fence. Okay. I'm seeing if I can disable the geofence here without going to the parameters. But I don't think so. And we need position. Wow, this is great. Probably going to have to reconnect to the mLRRS Bluetooth module again so I can swap over to QGroundControl. I would like to do the compass calibration in QGroundControl, and if we're not getting a compass calibration, we're going to open up the developer mini and see if we can find any problems with the hardware connection. So let's go ahead, close out a mission planner. And I guess also the other reason to go to QGroundControl is we can disable the fence if need be with a UI and not through a parameters list. And like I think we're going to have to disconnect. Yep. Ain't that lovely? Back in frog position. Ribbit. Nice. Give it to me. All right. All right. Gonna sound like a knockoff Matthew McConaughey. Look and sound like knockoff Matthew McConaughey. No. Nice. Swing it around town. Only my second SpongeBob reference of the day. Well, probably not even true of this test flight session. All right, we are connected. Still no GPS lock. Let's do a compass calibration and see why that we're not getting a GPS connection. I guess we need to do a reboot. Parameters, tools, which means QGroundControl is going to crash, which may mean we need to reset up the mLRRS connection. Again? I know, right? Let's find out. Yes. All right. Look at that. This works a lot better on an Android or Windows device, FYI. I am making this more complicated than it needs to be using a Mac. But if you see how complicated it is here and you think you can get past it, then you'll have much better success on a Windows or Android device. All right, sensors, compass calibration. Let's give this a go. I have no way to see when we're done, so I'm just going to spin it around longer than what it probably needs to be. Look at that, Brian moving. Nice. All right, compass 1, so we'll need to sort that out. Might have a bad GPS unit, because if we're not getting GPS and the compass from that external GPS is not working, that may be indicative of something going on with the hardware. All right, let's see if we get any connection to satellites now. Still no GPS lock. Yeah, we should definitely have a GPS lock by now. Needs an accelerometer calibration. We can do that. But that's still not going to solve our no satellite issue. Vehicle configuration, sensors, accelerometer. Look at that. This is so nice not being tethered to wires. All right, and then left. Hopefully moving it that much didn't affect it. All right, right side. Upside down. Or I guess this is upside down. All right. Reboot. Let QGroundControl crash. Reopen.
Altitude hold flight mode.
So can't arm it even in altitude hold flight mode because of GPS 1 bat fix. All right, let's go ahead and check the hardware, I guess. Does the software look to be configured correctly? I don't know if we're going to be able to get a good zoom in here. Hopefully we will. Relatively clean build. Cable looks all right. Connectors plugged in all the way. Connectors plugged in all the way on the Pixhawk. Nice and clean wire management. Did I mention nice and clean wire management? You know what they say in troubleshooting, if it doesn't work, unplug it and plug it back in. It's about the extent of the hardware troubleshooting we're going to be able to do out here today. I don't even think I needed to close out a QGroundControl, but
RF signal critical.
let's see.
Telemetry recovered. Stabilize flight mode. Altitude hold flight mode.
Come on. Don't tell me we're going to have to reestablish this connection. Ugh. So yeah, I can see no GPS lock still on the controller. We don't have too much more time before the next meeting either. Well, I think we'll need to continue this troubleshooting to get the GPS initialized on this Develop Air Mini. I would like to do the troubleshooting here while we're out in the field to get it up in the air, but I guess I'll have to take this back to the workshop and then get it worked on there, and then come back out hopefully tomorrow, and we'll have this on its way taking flight, and then shortly thereafter on its way out west, out to a state I won't mention. But in any case, I think that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and you'll catch us in the next one. Peace.